Perfect. So here we go. We are reviewing our Masters Reinhardts. This is on PC. You came over from console. Great. And we're going to play some Reinhardt into Numbani, which, you know, that's doable. It can be a little painful, but certainly doable. You got Zarya as your partner, and you are running Zen plus BAP. No problem. I mean, it's a touch early because the issue that you run into here is you're going to round this corner or you're going to put your shield up, and this creates a situation where you're giving them the chance to shoot at your shield. Maybe you're immediately going to bring this down. Maybe this was just a very quick scout from you, in which case I would invited you to put your shield through the wall to do that scouting, not to give them to him here. Or maybe you're about to
Okay.
push. If you're about to push, that's okay, but we really would have been happy to wait like just the extra second and a half for our backline to get a little bit closer. Because if you push now, your backline is going to be a good second or so before they're relevant, before they are firing anything down this lane. So, like, it becomes a thing of it's not a super, super big deal, but you go, hey, you generally do the call out here of, you know, pushing 3, 2, 1, go type thing. And you do that, and it's just going to give them a little bit of extra time to get here so that you get them in this fight as quickly as possible.
All right.
We don't really want to slow push this. Okay. Okay. Fine. I mean, you don't really need to stand back here. You were actually pretty comfortable right here where you were, where you had this, where you could contest the point, where you could go here. Like, that was pretty happy for you. You don't need to stand here to be like, oh, I'm going to stand here and shield my Zarya and my Sim. If your Zarya and Sim aren't happy with how things are going, they can step out here. They can step under here like you are. You don't necessarily need to be like, ah, yes, I'm here so that they can shoot at them. Nah, we're good. We're good as we are.
That sounds good.
Could have probably used our fast strike cancel on the Orisa instead, but that's fine. And now you're just sort of trying to last, but it's not going to work. And they okay. It's a reasonable fight to reinforce. Sure. Okay. What's your plan right now?
My plan was to kind of create space and then protect the people behind me. Kind of put some distance between the hit scans and then our backline.
Put some distance between the hit scans and your backline. Yeah, I don't think I like that because these are hit scans, right? I don't really want distance between hit scans and your backline. I would like you going, hey, I'm going to swing into you. I'm going to swing into you. Like, these are 3 poke heroes. This is a McCree, a Soldier, and an Orisa, and you guys are a Reinhardt, a Zarya, and a BAP, like, and you've got some sim turrets going on. No, I want to push this. There's no situation where I go, let me just go over here and be this firing platform for my Zarya. Like, yeah, it might work. It might be that your Zarya is able to eliminate the Soldier or eliminate the McCree before they get behind cover or they split and you go in here and finish them. It might happen, but you want to get better value out of that shield by going, I'm going to use this to press up and then in here I can swing at this Soldier. Or maybe I'm going to use this to get to this corner and then you guys are in this you can't round it thing, but you have to round it because if you don't, we get the point. Like, your options were, I'm going forward to swing here, which I think is what Shazari expected and why she bubbled you, or I'm going to go to here. And I really would have preferred this of your options. Like, I'm going to swing at the soldier. I'm going to keep pressing forward with my shield. You have a perfectly fresh shield right now. You can absolutely push on these guys, and that's kind of what we want to do. And then if your shield gets weak, you sort of fall back to, and now I'm here type thing. And you go, I'm still enforcing this. You guys still have to walk onto point. And when they walk onto point, they're in your BAP sight line, your Zarya sight line. You have your sim turrets enforcing this for you. This could have gone better.
Okay.
Let's micro that. So here you are. He hasn't pulled that yet. You don't really need to give him the shot. And what I mean by that is, let's go here. You're doing this. It's high noon, eh? Okay, it's high noon. So you just go left. Keep going left. Keep going left. I don't know why you're scooting back right and forward here. You can keep going left. You can leave your shield up if you want, in case there's someone behind you that you're not aware of or something, but you want to keep putting yourself to the left behind this wall, because you can stand here where his high noon doesn't hit you, here where his high noon doesn't hit you, and still extend your shield out to the right, and he can't shoot at anything. Like, if there's someone behind you, your shield will protect that person, but you don't need to give him you to shoot at with this high noon. Because sure enough, you end up in this situation where you'd sort of like to be able to put your shield up here, and wouldn't it be nice if your shield had another 600, 800, 1,000 health or whatever, that he hadn't been able to just be like, let me pop this with your high noon while your BAP stabilizes you. Oh boy. That's a little dicey. So here we are. I'm going to get a little micro. What are we doing? You see how you're sort of just like hopping to the right here? You're just doing some sort of back and forth stuff where I totally get that you don't have much shield, but either this shield is going to break and then they're going to shoot you, or, you know, they're going to get eliminated, right? There isn't really a situation where, yes, I'm just going to hold this shield up and that'll be enough for my team to take them down. If your shield is enough for you to take them down, isn't your shield still going to be enough for you to take them down right here? Do they do any more damage to you if you're right here?
No.
Right. So, hey, I might not have very much shield. I might be accepting that my shield's going to break. I'm probably going to get eliminated before I get to really get more than a swing off, maybe before I get a swing off, but there's literally no reason for me to just walk back and forth here. Maybe I go, hey, I'm hard retreating with my shield to try to get back here, but that's not what you did. You just sort of hung out here. And I'm exaggerating how much you're doing this movement, but you are doing this movement rather than going, I'm getting back to here, or I'm going up to my enemy to swing on them. And we got to fix that, because these micro pathing mistakes add up. Reinhardt doesn't have that much barrier. People will put a lot of pressure on you. I mean, that's just like, you do this, you go for that, you absolutely swing here, which is good, but go for the next swing. I'm not sure why you go for this swing here. I thought maybe you were just canceling the portion of your swing you didn't need, and you were immediately going to start another swing. But you don't. You just sort of are like, no, he'll get it. And I'm not quite sure why. Like, I wasn't really worried about that McCree eliminating you. You could have eliminated that Orisa faster.
Yeah, that was my fear, but
all good.
It seems kind of irrational now.
All good. It's easier in hindsight. It's easier when we've got pause. It's easier when we can pause and go, oh, look, your Zarya's right. You know, things like that. There we go. Fine. Why are you backing up? Why are you backing up? Because you want to use the TP? I don't know why you're backing up. Why are you here?
I honestly do not know.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. So I assumed it was your BAP or your Zen on cart, because I saw one for most of it. Now it looks like it's you plus Zen on cart. Doesn't matter. If you're here, you understand that they have pressure on them to take a fight with you, because if they don't, the cart gets from here to you for free. Well, that's good. I would like there to be pressure on them to take a fight with
Okay.
me when I have this corner advantage. When they have to force themselves around the corner on me and I sort of get first swing advantage, I have an infinite health shield called the bus between me and their backline. Their backline would have to like swing wide or rotate through here or do something like that to be relevant. This is a strength for me. This is an advantage if I can hold some sort of cover, some sort of corner or choke in front of the payload that puts mental pressure on them to go, you know, we have to push them, otherwise they get all this objective progress for free. You are defending the objective, and you get your defender's advantage if you go take this space. If you just stand on the objective, you don't get any real advantage, because what's going to happen is they're going to go, no, we can set up, and we set up, there's not a great example here, but we set up on this corner, we set up on this corner, whatever, and now you have to break the corner into us, which, as we just went over, is a little bit harder to do. So we don't like that. We would prefer to get a corner in front of it ourselves rather than them take a corner like this. But all good. And your Sim's backing off because she's not sure what you're doing. Okay. Ends up they don't contest you. What are we doing here? Oh boy. Okay. So this is going to look silly on your screen. There's a lamp. I'm going to swing at the lamp. Great. Why are you playing Foursquare? Why are you like hippity hoppity hippity hoppity hippity hoppity? Like, this is just a silly. You're trying to just like occupy this space. And again, your Reinhardt shield is not enough to occupy spaces. Your Reinhardt shield in its modern era is barely enough for you to get from one set of cover to a new set of cover. But that is, it is the best tool for that. So like, we can't just live here with our thing and just sort of be like, I'm going to dance around and wait for Fire Strike and throw a Fire Strike. We have to go, hey, I'm using this shield to get from here to here. And then I might use this to go from here to the BAP that I want to swing at. Or I might just go straight with my shield from here to the BAP that I want to swing at. But there isn't really a situation where I'm willing to wait here and just sort of wait in the open with my shield up. The only time that that might happen might be if there was someone else that I could swing at right in front of me, but I was waiting to get healed before I swung my hammer. Does that make
I
sense?
see.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. So where could you be right now? Or what could you be doing right now?
Behind the bus would probably be better, just to let my shield recharge.
Sure, you could be behind the bus. That would be fine. You could go here. You could even tuck in here. I wouldn't even mind if you went, you know what? I'm just going to walk through here and come at this guy from behind. Like, all of these would be fine with me. Okay.
I assumed that I was going to be hitting the visor, but
Got
I
it.
don't think I did.
No, I don't think you did either. We can check, but I was looking at this. Yeah, he got eliminated right before. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I understand. Fine. Okay, so I liked going through here to see, hey, can I go challenge? Because it was very unlikely that he had the resources to battle you. It was likely that he'd used his flashbang to try to battle your Zen, etc. But this is okay. You've now forced two different angles, and now you just go right back to the card. That's unfortunate. So you in general are sort of, this is fine. You're here. This is a thing that you want. This is a corner like we've talked about. And if you think about the sight line that your team has from cart, they can support this corner. If the cart was back here, they might not be able to support this corner. And if there was truly 6 people on the other team that were ready to fight you, you might go, I don't want it because there's someone on the cart that can't support me. Maybe that would happen. But right now, your team can, effectively support you on this corner, so we'd like to hold it, and I really don't care that much about that fire strike. You took a fire strike damage, that's fine. You can tuck yourself back ever so slightly, but you then jump back further, and I'm not totally sure why you jump back further here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess it was just panic, but it would have been better to hold that. Yeah,
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, your Zarya's kind of probably scratching her head going, what, huh? What am I supposed to do with this? So now we have a resource disadvantage on top of this because you're not going to get value out of this bubble. Give the window. Okay. You don't have the health, so I'm going to live with it. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So here we run into a situation where it's really tough to justify not going in front of this, but you just get burst down too hard, so we're going to have to not go in front of it. I mean, probably better to just let the BAP do it. Okay, force your way in front. No, you're trying to hold this. You have full health, and for some reason you're trying to hold this in the teleporter rather than force your way through with this opening. Remember, if you can get to the other side of this barrier, you both prevent him from coming through it, and you get yourself double healing from your BAP, assuming that your BAP is, yeah, he is. So, it was pretty high priority. When you had 72 HP, sure, I get it. You want to go for this. But as soon as you have anything resembling real HP, if the other Reinhardt hasn't already forced his way through, that's what you want to be going and doing. Yes, I know it's scary. Yes, I know that there's the supercharger. But what we get in terms of denying him the window and getting the increased healing ourselves would have made that something that we want to do. Okay. Cool. Okay, so, we're seeing things, obviously. Yeah, we've got a long one here with multiple finishes that are with multiple rounds here. So we'll take a look as things keep going. What jumps out at this point is, of course, you're just trying to exist in open space with your shield, waiting on fire strikes, things like that too often. And especially against comps that get more poke heavy, that's going to hurt you, that's going to add up. We see some other stuff where we could adjust your fire strikes in general to be more, hey, you're doing a little bit more fire strike in the open against some of these things like VAPs that can actually hurt you more than your fire strike will hurt them. You're also not terribly likely to hurt them. Things like that we could adjust away. But let's keep going and see what jumps to the top of the deck for you. Okay. What was the thought here? So you teleported over here. And did the Zarya just push you off? Is that what happened here, or did you mean to fall?
I did not mean to fall.
Okay. Got it. That helps clear things up, because I'm like, there's no need for you to anchor point. You hear the Krieg, good. Right idea. Okay. So if you were really microing it, what you'd have done is you'd have thrown your shield up in this direction, and then you'd have turned your camera to see down there to, potentially protect your shield if they were still there, but that's okay.
Okay, so you mean put shield, like you mentioned this before, but I just want to
Sure.
confirm, like, put
So
your shield behind a wall so they can't shoot it
yeah, so you
to
have a
try and
couple
get that angle?
options. If you're standing facing this way, you can put your shield up and then just sort of wrench your camera so that you're
Oh,
seeing
I
this
got
way.
you.
You could have done that. Or if you want, this is a little more dangerous because of the Kree specifically could round the corner and flash you while you do it. You could just, be like this and you just literally just are like, hey, I'm here. Instead, I'm going to turn away a little bit, throw my shield up, and then it's very easy to see what's down there. Either of those will work. Effectively the same thing. Okay. Good idea. Feels a little bad.
Don't worry, my friends. I have your shield.
Okay. But like, why are you here? So like again, you're sort of just in the open. Like you can sell me on I want to be here so that they can't walk forward, or so that maybe I can walk up on this widow when she's scoped on someone. Not likely, she's just gonna grapple up, but you can sell me on being here. Don't really love you being here at all. Let me rewind and remember why you fell down or why you came down.
Snipe.
So
Don't worry, my friends.
yeah, I just
I am your
don't
shield.
have a great reason for you to drop in the first place. Like, I know you probably feel ineffective up here, but there's nothing for you to contest on here right now. You're not terribly
I see.
effective down. What's that? Sorry, did you say something?
Sorry, I just said I see. My
Okay,
bad.
got it, got it. No problem. And if you stay up here, you're at least denying them this route, because this is a powerful path, a powerful spot that they'd like with what they're playing. Like, hey, if we can get our McCree to walk in here, that would make us happy. No, you can't have your McCree or your Hog walk in here. You can't have that. I'm enforcing this space. And, at some point you could go, okay, fine, I'll throw my shield up and be a firing platform for my Hanzo when he gets back, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe I'll teleport over here and shield my Zen. Like, you can do that because there's literally nothing better for you to do. But, like, being on the point before they've put a Winston on the point for you to chase after. If this was something like where Winston came to the point, got close to a tick, and you dropped and you chased off the Winston, and then you're just stuck on point, so be it. But there's not a reason to drop right now. You get a little bit more value by being on the high grounds.
Sniper. Fight toe-to-toe, you coward.
And again, no real need to be walking back from her. This team isn't terribly scary for you. You could have been walking towards her. Are you actually going to get to her? Probably not. She's probably going to scamper away, but she doesn't have grapple, and you can sort of intimidate her away for a moment and then go back to your cover. But no big. Here we're just sort of in the open. That Winston's pressuring a place that you should have been. Okay. Do you know where that widow is? Okay.
I wasn't aware of her, I don't think.
Okay, because I just heard sights go off, and I'm a little like, I think she's in this general direction. She is, and you're not throwing your shield in this general direction as you cross. I understand you want to get to here to fight the Kree, but you're walking in this general direction without your shield up, which is when I know the widow has sights going, and even if she didn't, you'd want your shield up. Yeah, there we go. All good. So now you just walk at her, and now you walk right back to the Mega. Mega's your only choice right now. It's the only productive thing you can do. Okay. Okay, so you understand what I was saying, where it's just like, hey, I'll just throw my shield up against all you guys, go get the Mega, come back out. Maybe I'll be able to do something when I come back, but at least I'm relieving pressure on my healers by getting the Mega.
Okay.
Back into the
Freedom is here.
Objective lost. Stop the pain.
I don't want this fight. I hope you don't want this fight. Oh boy. Okay, now you're gonna be forced to take this fight a little because your sim has decided she wants it.
Teleporter online.
Okay. You see what your movement was sort of like, though? I think you were trying to protect your sim, but you're just sort of hanging out in this space, and then you're hanging out in front of your sim wall, and you're not getting punished for it a ton with your shield this time, but you do have half shield when you could probably, have another 2, 3, 400 shield HP.
feeling powerful.
And now you can't make up your mind. You're out? Okay, out is fine. Don't like this fire strike at all. So I've mostly been cutting you some slack on your fire strikes. I'm probably going to stop doing that. Where you go, hey, shield hopping tech, that's legit. A little questionable when there's a widow on the other side, but she's not looking as you're doing this shield hopping tech. And then you go for this fire strike. And so fire strike does 100 damage, and 100 damage is great and all. But what we run into here is you're not getting any piercing damage on this. I mean, maybe if you'd sent it to the left, but that's not where you're sending this. So, like, we are doing this knowing that there's a Hog, a McCree, an Anna, and a Lucio looking at us. It's like a metaphysical certainty that we're going to take more damage than we're going to dish out with this fire strike. And it's not like there's someone that this fire strike is going to finish off. It's not like there's we're comboing our fire strike with a TNT through a window, anything like that. Like, there's just not a good reason to throw out this fire strike when we're locking ourselves out this whole time. We now, I mean, I know that you dealt with his hook already, so you're not so worried about that one. But like, we're forcing ourselves to be vulnerable to McCree's headshots, to Anna nades, to Anna sleeps, to Widow headshots, to all these things for the chance to get 100 damage, really. Like, and a pretty slow moving projectile that's pretty easy to dodge 100 damage. It's just not a good enough ability. And so what we do to make it better is we accept that I'm going to start my windup for my fire strike behind this cover. I'm going to peek, and last moment, because I can start my windup, doesn't matter where I'm aimed when I start my windup, only matters where I'm aimed when it actually comes out of my hammer, and then I'm going to unpeek. So I'm increasing the time that I have this infinite shield, infinite health cover in front of me, and decreasing the time that is actually necessary for me to be in the open when I throw my fire strike. That's what I'm looking to do with my generic fire strikes, because this sort of fire strike, this sort of, well, I don't have a poke phase, so let me just throw a fire strike as I'm retreating or as I'm advancing, they're gonna give too much better than they're gonna get from it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. And there's other places you can use fire strikes, like if you use a fire strike on someone who's retreating, or you use fire strikes when no one is looking at you, or you use fire strikes to make sure someone gets eliminated faster than your next swing would come in, no problem. Throw a fire strike through a window, no problem. But these sort of generic fire strikes, they're too dangerous. They don't give you enough for what they take, and you see how hard you're getting crushed during it. Even though it looks like you don't get out alive. The lamp saves you. And you saw how much damage you took for this fire strike. Some of
So
that
would
was
you say
shield.
in general I should focus on like gathering how much DPS they could do to me when I fire strike versus how much I can output? Like,
I wouldn't necessarily do that math because the math is going to be against you almost every time, if that makes sense.
okay.
So I wouldn't bother
Yes.
doing that. I would go, what makes a fire strike worth it? Well, a fire strike can be worth it when I have this cover that I can use, because I do want to get earth shatters. So when I have this cover that I can peek from behind to throw it, a fire strike becomes worth it when it's like just an enemy running from me, so they're not looking at me, so I can pretty confidently fire strike them, and even if I miss, I'm not going to get punished. Now, if one person's running and 4 other people are looking at me, that's different. Or if I send a fire strike through a window, that, even though it's only 200 damage, that's one-shot potential on squishies. That has extra value, and I'm willing to do that in the open. If you sort of said, hey, I'm willing to fire strike when it's an elimination, I'm willing to fire strike when it is when I have cover, if you sort of set that as sort of your rule of thumb, you're going to have consistently pretty good fire strikes without using all the mental space of going, okay, well, exactly which heroes are looking at me, let me do this, let me run my trigonometry, etc. Okay?
Right.
Cool, cool. Don't worry though, we'll make you run that. We'll make you run those calcs elsewhere. So, you know, free the brain space up for that. Oh, you got hooked during a fire strike. I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Wait for me!
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Better.
Get behind me!
Go!
Was it wise to play defensively there, or should I have gone forward?
So you have to decide, can they really force this corner on you? And the answer is no, they can't really force this corner on you, so you would have been more threatening to them. This hog would have been a lot less happy to go out here to hook your sim if you're standing right here. So like, yes, you being here would be more threatening, but if there were 6 people right here, you couldn't because you aren't currently set to hold against 6 people. But you should know that your Zarya is pretty close behind you, your Zen is in line of sight, you other people will be in line of sight soon, so you can hold this and you'd prefer to be here rather than to just give up the space. If you determined you couldn't hold the space, you'd back off. But you should feel pretty comfortable that I can hold this space, so I am going to hold this space. Does that Yeah. Okay. You're forcing a corner around. What's the thought here? Like your sim is gonna TP out, so what's the thought here of I'm rounding this corner? What are you doing with this?
I wasn't really sure. I was just confused on where we were going to hold, or
Okay.
what corner to take.
Sure. So you would like to get this corner because this is still in front of the payload, but you can't get this corner yet because there's things that are in the way in front of you, right? Like, hey, we'd have to force these things back to get this corner. And now you've walked yourself into this situation where there's an enemy threat from this direction and this direction. And I don't particularly like that because the truth is that your sim and your BAP and maybe even your Zen, once they deal with this or get eliminated to this, but we'll say for now, your sim and your Zarya from right here can force this monkey back pretty fine, right?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we don't need to open a second lane. If these guys force the lane open, they round the corner on us, so be it. But these guys right now are not threatening to us if we're on this corner. Okay, now they're threatening to your Zarya, but like you sort of want to think of this as I might as well play from here and just be like, well, there's an infinite health wall between me and those guys unless those guys round the corner. And if they round the corner, then they're on the same sight line on the Winston, and I'm comfortable with that. When they're on multiple sight lines like this, I'm uncomfortable because if I advance on them, the Winston can see me. Not really a problem for you. If I advance on the Winston, they can see me. And you don't really like that. But if you advance on them and the Winston can see you, the bigger problem is your backline can't see you anymore. So you would prefer to just go, let's let my team deal with one threat at a time. When you're in these situations where, hey, if I advance and there's threats from different directions, I don't like that. You want to clear those threats first when you can. And the way to clear this threat in this situation is going to be, okay, I guess I just will be a firing platform for my Zarya. You know, maybe I'll hold my shield up and let my Zarya shoot, throw right clicks at this Winston, etc., see if we can make this Winston leave, or I'll check on is my team close, because if your whole team was spread out close here, you could round this corner and go fight these guys and have support. But if you round to fight right now, you don't have much in terms of backline support. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. It's the wrong hero. Instead, rounding the corner just sort of gave them a chance, or rounding the corner to sort of hold this just sort of gave them a chance to shoot at you, and no one was going to shoot back at them, so we don't want that deal. Good. Okay. Now we're looking to go, hey, can we take a little more space? Because if we check, our team is getting to a position where they can potentially help us more. Unfortunately, our Zen's choosing, well, not unfortunately, our Zen's sort of being locked down by the McCree. And now it's not going to matter because the Winston is making the engage. So it's been decided that this is the corner that you're holding. Okay. You block it. She's free. Almost. Oh boy. Okay. I'm actually not too worried about this. So here we are, and this happened. And the standard play here would literally be their Winston just came in. It's your job to sort of go, hey, I don't want more people to come in. And that's a bit of a problem because more people have decided that they're coming in this way, and your corner is holding this way. So you have to decide, do I try to rotate to continue to, be between me and the threats to my opponents, or do I backline trade? And you went to backline trade, and that was fine. It wouldn't usually be the right answer, but because of how the specific angles worked on this map, how the opponents took their engage, it's fine.
So you're saying in most scenarios it would be better if I tried to more contest their tank line instead of just stopping cart?
I'm not so interested in necessarily you contesting their tank line as I am in going, hey, if someone is pushing your team, so let's say Winston jumps in over you to go mess with your team, your job is not to go back and deal with Winston. Your job is to figure out how many other people can I keep from entering. Because if my team 1v5s Winston, they will crush him. Exactly. And unfortunately, because McCree already had this deep angle and Hogg had another path that he could take here, your answer wasn't very many people. So, well, I guess it's Anna. I'll keep Anna out. Maybe I can get an limb on Anna. And, we'd usually expect that you could have gotten the limb on Anna here or at least made her run to Narnia. But things happened. Not a big deal. Your team sort of lost while you were doing this, which isn't really a big deal. This was the best option that you had available. That's fine. Lucio coming back isn't a big deal. The fact that Winston's back means something has gone wrong with the team. And I'm not too worried that something went wrong with the team. It wasn't really, you weren't in a place, and I didn't want you to move to a place to be able to contest this McCree, for example. That didn't make sense. This was the right play. Should get one more fight. Okay. So again, I don't want you to go back for him. I'm going to trust other people on your team to handle him. Good. Well, less good, because you backed up enough that that happened to Ash. She shouldn't really have been standing there, but hey. Okay. Are you going to shatter? Unfortunate. Okay. Yeah.
Is it even worthwhile trying to go for the shatter in that scenario?
Yeah.
Like,
And the reason it's worthwhile going for the shatter in this situation, I mean, we'll go back for it. The reason you're going for the shatter is because you're going, hey, even though I'm going to struggle to follow up, even though, someone, I guess in this case, the Lucio will mess with me, etc. Like, there's no reason that the BAP isn't going to continue to heal you up as you go up here and fight this McCree. And this McCree still isn't going to have flash, even when he gets up from his shatter. So you can get good damage on this McCree. You can potentially eliminate this McCree. You might not eliminate the McCree during the shatter, but you can very much get the McCree eliminated as a result of the shatter. Unfortunately, your Firestruck gets blocked. You're a tiny bit slow getting up here, and then he answers with beat. If he doesn't answer with beat, this is fine. You follow what I'm saying? We're like, he still doesn't have it. You're going to get another swing on this guy. If he goes for a fan, you're going to cancel into a shield. You've got shots at taking this McCree down, and we had to cash out because you're thinking, oh, well, is it worth going into the shatter? Do you think you're going to find a better shatter opportunity between now and the end of the map? Because if you lose this fight, they get the cap. You see what I'm saying?
I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Ball stall? Ball stall? Reinhardt does.
Would that be worthwhile going ball there?
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't
Okay.
have made it, but yes, in those situations, you just used your ult. You will absolutely swap to ball for the better stall here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Round 2. Initiating match. Ready for battle. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Come out and face me!
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Great. Hold your corner. Good fire strike. New corner. Yep. You don't need him. You don't. No, don't get baited. No. Okay. So this is fine. You do this well with your fire strikes. You just ignore that monkey full on. Like, I don't care what that monkey's doing. There's pretty much nothing that's going to cause you to deal with it. Like, maybe in some world you'd turn around and shatter him if he primaled. Maybe. But, like, you look at this and go, there's basically nothing that this monkey could be doing that would cause me to turn around, so I'm just going to keep enforcing this corner and not letting them in. And you being looking away here means that you, even though you hear it, you don't quite react to the Lucio, and he's able to get the boop off. If you'd been paying a little more attention, potentially you hit your W key in this direction, and he gets the mini boop as opposed to the full strength boop. This is a little on the risky side, but okay.
Would it have been better to try and just hold point, or?
It's just it is scary to push back up these stairs when there's any degree of boop on the opposing team. Now they don't have a ball, for example, so be it. But when it comes to would it have been better to hold point at this point, I don't necessarily hate you trying to go back up here, especially if you've got your sim over here. No, I'm okay with you trying to go back up here. It's just a Lucio that you have to worry about from a boop standpoint. But it would have also been acceptable to go, hey, I am just going to anchor this, or I am going to rotate myself to here where I can anchor this. These would have been fine. Yeah.
60 seconds. Objective lost. Stop.
Oh, no, there was a ball on the other team. Yeah, you can't go up there. Sorry, I'm wrong. I was mixing up the team colors. Yeah, you simply can't walk up here. You just needed to anchor here or here and go, okay, well, I'm going to bleed time. Maybe my team will stabilize around me.
Okay.
The jumping doesn't really help if you're not doing the shield flashing, and you can't do the shield flashing in front of the Widow, so...
Right.
In fact, it just makes it slower if you do change your mind and decide, nope, I was advancing, now I need to go back to cover. But hey.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay. Change your mind, decide to back. It's gonna be dicey. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't really believe that you were gonna be able to get out, which meant going to cart was better there, but all good. I think deep down you knew that too.
Yeah, I just felt kind of lost. Like I didn't really have a plan forward.
Yep. And I think we need to solve that with you. I think you get a little bit. I mean, that's where the Rhine dancing comes from. That was sort of the very first thing we identified with you, which is we need to make sure we're decisively going from point A to point B. It's okay to change our mind, but changing our mind is decisive action. There is no decision making process. We're doing what we were doing until we change our mind and go do something else. Okay? I know that
That
might
sounds
seem
good. Yeah.
silly, but it's like, even if you're feeding, it's like, nope, we're feeding until we decide, no, I don't want to be feeding anymore. Good. Shield. Definitely not fire strike. Yeah.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Yeah, you can't really do the shield hop against Widow unless you're timing it for right after she fires shots, because then you know she's charged. She has to charge again for the shot to be meaningful. No, no, we don't care. If you're gonna shield here, maybe. No. So here we go. They're dive tanks. That's annoying to you that they're dive tanks. But your job is not to fight the dive tanks if they dive past you. You don't need to go, oh, where did they go, etc. Nope, that's not your job. Your job is to go, how much of your backline can I stop from supporting your dive tanks? You already gave him nano. Can't stop you from doing that, but I can stop you from healing him. I can stop you from getting a sleep dart in here. I can stop the McCree from getting support shots in that he can jump on to get finishes on. Like, that's what your job becomes. You sort of have the sim wall doing some of that for you, but that is your job. Your job is not to go back and do it. For this ball, it's basically the same thing. The one caveat I'll give you is you could make the decision that you were going to not turn around to swing at this ball, but turn around specifically to shield yourself, to stop yourself from getting knocked up by the pile drive. But I don't even terribly recommend that, because what that causes to happen is your teammates will still get knocked up, but you won't get knocked up, and then your teammates are very predictable headshots for the McCree, for the Ash, etc., and your shield isn't in the way. If you don't turn around for the ball, you can go, oh, ball's knocking all of us up, my shield goes up, and my whole team is protected from the follow-up. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Okay. Now this is what we want. Here we go. They're all in front of us. Shield, you're okay. Okay. You're scaring me. You're scaring me. So here we are. This is good. This is good. You're low health, but it's fine. You don't have any armor. It's fine. You're positionally above them. They're not looking at you. Now it's time to shield. Like, now they're paying a little more attention to you. You lost a little bit more health. Your team is likely to win this fight. You're on top of your spawn. You did good damage here. Just throw your shield up and sort of let your sim finish melting people. Let your hog wake up. Get your shield up to reduce some of this incoming damage.
Don't worry, my friend.
Oh well. Okay. Unfortunate. Try to get the cart between you. Oh, you're just gonna straight go for it. Winston bubble. Every time. Yep. Every time.
Yep.
Okay. Unfortunate. Unfortunate.
Would it have been better to try and wait for them to use those abilities? My thinking was that, like, okay, it sounds like we're gonna need something, so I just tried to spur the moment, get it out. Would that be, in general, a good or a bad idea?
So, you were in a doomed if you do, doomed if you don't scenario, to be perfectly honest. Like me, I'd have said shield up, let me try to get myself between, use my shield because he's not going to pull the trigger early to get the cart between me and him so that his high noon doesn't get credit for me. The reality is the rest of his team is going to be picking me apart as he does that, and yeah, we might get the Winston bubble out, but I'm not actually going to get a chance to shatter before that Winston bubble is broken, etc. So like all I can hope for is that the Winston bubble sort of comes out in a bad place as the fight is happening, and then I can like slide out of it and shatter some people out of it or something like that. So that's not great. The other option was I'm just going to force shatter and hope that he isn't paying attention and misses the cooldown, which also isn't great. So my issue isn't really with the shit. Like you're asking which is better, and it's like I don't care is the real answer because neither had a probability that was meaningful.
Right.
Justice will
Ready
be done.
Ready for battle. Attackers incoming. Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Do what I say, and this is a nice and smooth. Teleporter online.
Okay. You don't really have the poke to win this. What's the plan?
I don't know. At this point in Team Chat, we were calling out like different things, and I was unsure of really what to do and what would be best to do.
Okay.
So, anything you'd recommend?
Yeah, so I mean, you're gonna go with the plan because the plan was to TP up here, so you're gonna go with the plan. I just don't particularly like the plan because I'm looking at the comps and I'm immediately recognizing, wait a second, they have themselves a Widowmaker, a McCree, and a Sigma, and we have ourselves Ash and a Sim and a Zen and a BAP. Like they're gonna beat us in the poke fight. Like that's just sort of how that's going to go. So I don't really like this. Like they're gonna beat us in the poke fight. If they get a poke lead on us, their Winston can jump in and finish people off. I can't do that to them as Reinhardt. So I'm looking at this and going, you need a different way into this fight. You need a different solution. And if it's going to be because you don't know that until you're here, that we're going to rotate all the way back here to stabilize, so be it, I guess. It's going to be a really tough rotation. It might have been better to just drop it. Nah, forget it. Rotate in here, stabilize as best you can, trying to keep these guys alive, and then look to use your next TP to get on top of them. Or go, hey, we're going to stabilize in here, then we're going to do a 3-2-1 count, and we're going to rotate ourselves over to here, and then I'll just put my toe on point to contest point to make them drop someone, and we have a chance of actually fighting their monkey on point then. But right now, you're in a poke v poke battle. You need to get to a place, and you can't win the poke v poke battle. You need to get to a place where you can stabilize with hard cover, and then you need to either point pressure or TP onto them or potentially rotate out here, but I don't really like it. So you need to solve it, and I don't care which plan you solve it with. My personal preference would probably be we just go here and do it. But if the sim is comfortable, if the sim is confident, no, we can TP, run at them, etc., I'm not going to object to that plan either. Make sense?
Okay, I got you.
Okay. And she did it like that. So she's TPing you guys to a turtle spot, which is fine with me. But you don't like it. Still don't like the fire strike. Don't really like the hopping either. You're never getting him, but good luck. And again, I don't need you dancing around this point the whole time like this. I'm perfectly happy for you to go to a place where you can at any point just go, up, and now you can't shoot me. Up, and now you can't shoot me. And if you drop to fight me, that's great. I'm Reinhardt. More so than the middle of the point stuff that's going on here.
I like what you said earlier. It's like I'm playing Foursquare. 'Cause I'm just not really sure what to do.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And if you're ever not sure what to do, it's if I'm not sure what to do, I should either be swinging on someone or I should be behind cover. If I'm not swinging on someone or behind cover, 90% of the time I'm wrong. There's the very rare exception, and those rare exceptions are clearing an angle like we talked about, where, hey, you are like holding your shield up here for your Zarya to deal with a Winston or whatever when there's other people here, so you're letting him use you as a firing platform. But most of the time, I'm either, holding a corner, which you actually would have been doing here, or I'm swinging on people, or I'm directly moving to do one of those things.
Escort the payload.
Okay. I don't love that fire strike, but it got him. We'll count it. Okay, so you know that I still don't like... Nope, that's not what I want. You know that I still don't like that you're here on cart as opposed to taking space. Like, I don't care that it's an extra time round. I wouldn't care if it was overtime. I still wouldn't want you on the cart. I'd want you here. I'd want you thinking about advancing to here. I'd want you thinking about advancing to here. Like, I don't want you on the cart here. You can go triple cart for a second if you want, a couple seconds to get the cart moving while you know the opponents are in spawn. After that, it's more valuable to take space that they're going to have to fight their way tooth and nail through than it is to increase the speed of the cart with the second and third person. The second and third person increase it by like 33% per person, whereas the first person increases the speed. Let me rephrase that. So if person 1 on the cart is worth 100% speed to the cart, person 2 is only worth like 16 or 33% speed. So you end up at like 133 or 166 is your total speed with 3 people on it. I forget which. So like we can see the first person is very valuable. The second and third have a little bit of value. We want to get that little bit of cart distance, but it's way more important to have the extra space that they have to fight their way through tooth and nail than it is to get that extra cart distance and then us have to fight through their corners. Okay.
Don't worry, my
60 seconds.
Go take the white car. Go take the white car. I don't care about the threat behind you. Your team might, but you don't. You only care about it to know that you can't get more aggressive. She just stood there for you. That's great. Okay. So where should you be right now? Well, let's rewind a touch.
Come out and face me.
Probably the best place would be blue car area, trying to get up on that corner.
Yeah, if you could work your way up to here, that'd be great. And then you discover, oh wait, there's Nash over there, and you'd call that for your team. But yeah, this would be a great place for you to be.
Okay.
Okay. You're gonna look for Shatter as soon as this is over. Okay. Okay. So here you are. Getting an elimination during your Shatter is the most important thing. I don't know that I can, so like, how do I look at this? You can't get a follow-up hit on the Ana. You can only get your Shatter plus the Fire Strike. There's not a way for you to get a follow-up on her in time. And the Fire Strike is okay, but the other option is we can take this Winston for a little bit of a ride. We're not going to finish him because he's nanoed, but taking him for a bit of a ride and chunking him is, not letting him have some of his uptime is probably more important than getting this Fire Strike off, to be perfectly honest. You could have maybe gone for Fire Strike then Pin, but I probably wouldn't have recommended this swing fire strike in this situation because you can't finish the Anna. The Anna does get finished because your Zarya is here, but I think she could have done that regardless. Sorry, what was that?
No, I'm sorry. I just said okay.
Okay, got it. I mean, you don't have to be agreeable. You can fight me. You can be like, no, Temporal, you're wrong. Okay, well, I'll move on. I'm not wrong, but, you know, I'm just kidding. Okay. So again, you don't just have to defend this payload like this. It's perfectly fine, even if you're defending against that Widow, to go, I would like to get to here. I would like to get to here, where I have corners against the threat directions that you're coming from, rather than just standing in front of the cart with your shield here. Yeah, there's 4 people in the cart. You're fine. You don't need to be one of them. Now you are going to be one of them. Okay. Come on! That's a Widow. That's a Widow with a fully charged shot. And you're just like, nope, I want her. I want her. Okay, we don't do that.
Yeah, that. I guess I never really anticipated the idea of her firing back at me. I just thought it was, you know, free ult charge. But yeah, that
Sadly,
wasn't the case.
sadly, no. There is an opportunity cost to doing things, especially fire striking.
Let them out.
Okay. Okay. You don't recognize your bubble in time. Annoying, but you are in your lamp, and you have to decide, hey, can we actually win this game? And the answer is, if we're going to win this game, you have to get value. As this game goes on, it's only going to get worse. You're in a lamp right now, swing your heart out. You have a bubble, swing your heart out. Now the situation is only worse because, you know, you're still down 2 people, they're still down 1 person, you're on top of their spawn where they have the better respawns. Now you don't have a lamp to swing in. Yeah, all good. And that'll be the end. Okay, so the biggest things that I would work on if I were you is probably threefold. The first is where I'm going to call it the shield dance, but really what you need to work on is your decisiveness. You get caught too often, and some of this is hard. It's harder when you're playing Reinhardt into dive tanks. You're like, ooh, what do I do? This is weird. Or when you're playing Reinhardt into poke than it is when you're playing Reinhardt into Reinhardt. But you got to get better with your decisiveness, and that's going to be exactly what we said, which is you're doing what you're doing until you change your mind. There is no, I'm making a decision and I'm just sort of floating back and forth. Like, if I'm swinging until I've made the decision that I'm not swinging and I'm shielding. If I'm walking at the enemies, I'm walking at them until I've actively decided, no, I'm going to this cover instead. And it's fine. It's totally fine to change your mind and go to the cover instead. Or, hey, I was going to go to this cover, but I'm going to hard turn and go to the enemies because I have more shield health left than I thought I would when I got to this cover. Like, those are fine decisions to make, but until you've actually made the decision, keep doing the thing that you were doing before. And what we're specifically referring to is, I'm going to cover, be that retreating or advancing to new cover, or I'm going to enemies that I want to swing at. Like, we've got to eliminate this wandering around thing, okay?
Yeah, got you.
Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to work on. The second thing I want you to work on is these fire strikes, because we would like to stop giving the enemy team gifts where I'm gonna fire strike. Why did I lose 400 health? I'm gonna fire strike. Why did my BAP just get headshot by Widow? So we're gonna get rid of these fire strikes. Fire strikes we don't really like because we're locked into the animation, so we like to hide them behind cover where we can peek cover for them, or we like to use them to finish people off because then it can be worth it. Those are mostly how we're thinking about fire strikes. And a fire strike through a window, you are expecting, maybe hoping, expecting to finish someone off. So those are sort of how we're going to think about that. The third thing that we are going to work on is, what did we talk about? We talked about your Rhine dancing. We talked about your shield. We talked about your shield manage. Did we talk your shield management? No, your shield dancing. We'll deal with your shield management. What did we just? Wow, temporal brain is so lost in mixing points
Oh, we
here.
talked about like not getting distracted by dive tanks, if that's part of it, like
Yeah,
kind of focusing on the front line.
yeah, that's gonna work. I don't think. Yeah, that's worth being the third point. We'll work on that. I'm gonna definitely put that in line behind the other two things that we talked about, which is hey, the fire strikes and the decisiveness, the shield management. We're going to call that the not Rhine dancing. Like I'm definitely going to put that behind in line the other twos. Yes, you
Hmm.
do want to understand you're not going back to deal with other things. You do want to understand how you're playing to go, nope, I'm playing for these corners. No, I think more important, honestly, more important than the dive tanks is going to be taking the corners. Forget the dive tanks. It is going to be aggressively take these corners ahead of the objective. On the cart maps,
Okay.
that's going to be going ahead of the cart. In King of the Hill, that's going to be taking corners closer to their spawn, etc. Aggressively take those after one fights. Now, if you go, hey, I've aggressively taken this, wait, I've only got 2 teammates with me, and we're on top of their spawn and they're back with 6, yeah, I'm going to have to surrender that like immediately. Maybe I'm not going to hold this one. If we just had a 6v6 and we eliminated 6 of them and we lost 3, we might not be able to hold this anymore and we might have to give up to a new corner. But like when we have objective control, we're looking to get control of chokes in front of the objective to use the objective in the game mode to put further pressure on them because we understand that it's harder to break corners than it is to hold them. Okay. Those are the 3 things I want you to work on. And the way to do that isn't all at once. It's too many things that you, and I know you'll be thinking about some of the other stuff in this video too. So don't try to implement this all at once. This will be uploaded as a video. You can revisit it, but work on one thing at a time and do that with about 5 to 15% of your brain power while you're playing the game. If you play a little bit worse because you're focused on your decisive movement, that's okay. It's okay if you lose a little bit of SFSR, play a little bit worse off for a while, as long as you're training this, you're focusing on this so that it gets into your autopilot so you don't have to think about it. So you get to a place where
Hmm.
you go, now I'm moving how I want, etc. And now I can invest time, brain power into working on my fire strikes. And then my fire strikes will just habitually become right. And now that brain power is available for tactics or to learn the new thing, etc. So that's the game plan. That's how you can use it to get better. We gave you 3 topics here. I definitely make the first 2 as the bigger topics for you. I know this wasn't maybe what you thought it would be when I think you watched this morning's Rhine video that was a Master's Rhine review, which was much more about resource tracking, etc. And I would love to get into that with you, but it just wasn't as relevant in this video. It's not what you need to work on based on what we saw in this match. Part of that is because you weren't in the Rhine v Rhine. You were in a little bit of a different matchup. I mean, you were mostly playing up against dive tanks here. Okay. Do you have any questions? Anything either about things we talked about other stuff, Overwatch related, anything like that that you'd like covered?
No, you've helped me massively. Like I never even considered my fire strikes that big of an issue. I just
Okay.
thought if it hits, oh great, yeah, it hits. But obviously there's much more to it.
Little more, little more. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to end that here.